What's up, you guys? All right, well, here we are, Monday morning, and just like last week, it's a choppy morning. I started in a green on, BHTG, up about 5,000, and then I gave most of that profit back on a gap and go trade on the same stock. And then I went red by $5,000 on the day. So I was green, then I was red. And then I spent the rest of the morning trying to dig myself out of the hole. And I did it. I finished up 8,000. Last week, similar situation. Well, a little different. Last week, I started red, 2 red trades in a row, and I was down about 7,000. And then I started digging my way out of the hole, got to break even, and then dropped way back down to down 10,000. So last Monday, I tried as hard as I could to get back to green, and I couldn't do it. Today, I was able to do it. We had a little bit of follow through between 10:30, 11 a.m. on WKHS and SHLL. That gave me some good opportunities to get back to green, but some days you get it and some days you don't, and today was a close call, so it was a little choppy. Now, last week still ended up being a really good week. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, solid. So just because today is choppy doesn't necessarily mean the whole week is going to be choppy, but it's not exactly the way I want to start the week, but at least I'm in the green, which is better than last week. So we'll do the recap, break down today's trades, and reminder, it's going to be a short week. Markets are closed on Friday to observe 4th of July, Independence Day, which is very much sort of a day trader's holiday in the sense that we do this for independence because we don't want a regular 9-to-5 job. So we're going to run some 4th of July specials, some sales, which you guys can check out. You'll be able to come over to the website and see them. I'm not going to give it all away yet. They're going to be coming soon. All right, so just stay tuned for those. And enjoy the recap. As always, questions, comments, leave them down below, and I'll see you guys first thing live streaming tomorrow morning. The watch list right around probably 9 a.m. is when I'll start. All right, so I'll see you guys first thing tomorrow morning. All right, everyone, so we're going to go over the trades from today, finishing up $8,400, and today's kind of interesting because I started the day with some trades on BHTG. BHTG is currently up, let's see, I'll check the percentage. BHTG, it's up 85%, so it's still a pretty big percentage gainer, but as you can see, it's really been rolling over. My first trades on it were actually pre-market as it was breaking over its pre-market high. So as it squeezed up right here, it popped up from 64 up to 72 and then did a 1-minute micro pullback, and right here offered a nice long, which I bought with 30,000 shares. It went from 384 up to 420 before pulling back. So I was already up $5,000 pre-market on BHTG. But on my first trade, I got back in with 20,000 shares right here at it was about 415. It ripped up to 440. I was holding the whole thing, looking for that squeeze up to 450. It then flushed down here and actually stopped out with about a $3,000 loss. So I gave back almost half, a little more than half my profit. But it did a red to green move. It dipped down here. I added back. It squeezed up, and I was able to get myself back to up 6,400. And it did a nice trade. There was a nice trade right here on the break through the VWAP. So I was able to do pretty well on it, 62.59. But I would have done better if it had held VWAP and squeezed back to the highs, and it just didn't have that level of strength, which was kind of disappointing. On the day, it currently has about 76 million shares of volume. Second stock, BLNK. This one currently on the day has 11 million shares of volume and gave us kind of a surprise trade off the high day momentum scanner. As you can see here, it was hitting the scans. I really wasn't expecting it, but it gave me 2 trades. So the first trade that I took was a long at about 85. And this was sort of an arbitrary entry to anticipate the breakthrough $4. It hit a high of 405, and on that trade I booked about $500-600 of profit. It wasn't a home run, but it was a riskier trade because I was buying as it was squeezing up. Then micro pullback, first 1 minute candle to make a new high right here. That offered the next entry and gave us a squeeze, as you can see here, up to 454. So I was never really super aggressive on this one, but I did lock up $3,500 of total profit. So not too bad. And I was sort of jumping in as it was squeezing up, and it's pulled back a little bit now. It's actually forming a 5-minute pattern, but I'm not totally in love with it. So this trade was at like 1025. But after my BHTG trade, the next trade was SGMA. Now this was my worst trade of the day as it stands right now, or the stock that I'm the most red on. This stock squeezed up and got halted at 450 or 426. It opened high and then dropped down. I tried to buy the dip on it, and I was early buying the dip at 427 or I think my average was like 425, and I bought 10,000 shares. It then flushed down, and I lost $3,700 on it, so it's about 37 cents, which was kind of disappointing. But it was a lighter volume stock. I got some slippage on my exit, and I was just I was wrong on my dip entry on that. So this, I guess, was the dip right here that I bought, and it popped up for a second, and then as it flushed down right here, I had to stop out. So, that's what happens sometimes when you trade a stock with no news, but it was up, it was halted, and I thought maybe we would see continuation on it. So that one I was wrong on. So with that, I gave back, before that trade at 953, I was up about 6,000 on BHTG. I don't know if I'd taken my last trades on it, but I was in pretty good shape. With that trade, I was then up only like 1,000 on the day. And then I had my biggest loss of the day on SHLL. SHLL, I'm down $253 on, but I took a trade on it. Let's see, it was right here. It popped up to 33, and this is a special acquisition company. It's been strong for the last few days. And so right here it was hitting a high of 33, and the 5-minute was breaking out, and this was the first kind of 1-minute pullback after that fresh breakout. And I jumped in, first 1 minute candle to make a new high, and I bought 5,000 shares. It's a big position for this type of stock. And in this candle, it dropped. And I had actually added right up in here. It dropped from $32.45, $32.50 down to $30.90. So it dropped $1.60 a share. And I lost. I hit the bid. I don't like to panic out, but I hit the bid, and I got more slippage than I expected. And so let's see, what was the time on this? This was 10:12. So let me just see what my exit was. So yeah, so my exit was $30.99. And so I lost about $7,000 on that trade like that. And that was disappointing, and actually put me red $5,000 on the day. And at that point I was like, all right, this is not a good situation. I've gone from up 5,000 on BHTG pre-market to up only about 1,000 after the trade on SGMA, and now I'm down almost 5,000 on the day or something like that. And so at that point, I began the slow process of digging myself out of the hole, which took about an hour. So that was at 10 a.m. and it's 11 a.m. now. So it took about an hour to dig myself out of the hole. And I did it mostly on SHLL. So this formed a 5-minute consolidation right here. And as I was watching this form, I was nervous because I had just taken a good sized loss on it. But at the same time, I was looking at it thinking, I think this has more potential. So my first trade back in, it was back over 32, and I was in it actually 31.75, 31.78 right here. It popped up to a high of 32.30. I had 5,000 shares on that trade as well, and I made about $2,000. It drops back down. So I'm like, okay, well, the next spot I'm going to watch is over this level of 32.30. It pulls back, pops back up. And so my next entry on it was right here as it broke this level. And I was a little aggressive. I jumped in this with a starter of 1,500 shares and then added 1,500 to 3,000 and then added another 1,500 to 4,500. As it broke through 33, I added again. I think the biggest position I took on this might have been 7,500 shares or maybe 8,000. I don't think I took 10,000 on this today. As you can see, it did end up squeezing up really nicely to a high of 34.67. But because I was sort of on the defensive side, I was taking profit. So I was probably almost all out of it up here at 33, pulls back, and then I get back in here, and then I get out, and then I got back in here, and then I got out, and then I got back in. So I kept getting in and getting back out because I was afraid of, being in a position where, once again, with full size, boom, it drops $1 a share. So I was being really quick on my trades, and so what ended up happening was basically in one trade I lost 7,000, and then it probably took like 5 or 6 trades to make back most of that loss. It doesn't sound like a very good profit-loss ratio, which it's not. My accuracy was, I think, overall pretty good today, but the profit-loss ratio wasn't great because I had one trade that got away from me, and then after that loser, every time I had a winner, I was like, I got to take it off the table. And I was really quick to take all the winners off the table so I wouldn't go further into the red. And that, I think, speaks to how after you have a couple of losers, it can put you sort of in this place of being a little jumpy, and it can be really hard to kind of regain your center where you can be focused on actually letting the trade work. Because the fact is, on SHLL, from the initial entry down here at 32.50, this thing ripped up $2 a share to 34.67. With 5,000 shares, that could have been a $10,000 winner, which would have put me up $2,000. But instead, I'm still red on it because I just kept doing really quick little trades. But I think that is the right strategy when you're in the red. Just take quick little base hits, because it's so much easier to get five, $500 winners than to get one $2,500 winner. Just, slow and steady, small winner, small winner, small winner, and you'll make it back. Now, if you have a cushion on the day, which I had prior to that trade, then, that's when I'll feel like, okay, I can afford to hold the whole position for a second and let it work, which is what I was doing right here before this candle dropped. I was like, you know what? This still, to me, looks good. I think it's going to break over 33. So even though it popped to 32 and then dropped back down to 32 even, I was like, no, it's okay. And then it flushed to 31. And with that, I was like, I can't hold this. It's too far against me, and I had to cut it. So basically, today's a day where I went green, then went red, and then had to dig my way out to get back to green. So once I was back to just green, and I was, I don't know, whatever it was, up a couple hundred or right around green, then at that point I kind of had to decide, should I just walk away here or should I keep going? And so I got myself to break even, and at that point I was still down probably $3,500 on SHLL, or maybe a little bit more. But I was starting to take a couple other trades on these other ones. So at work, WKHS was this workhorse group. So this one has been strong today, and I did initially kind of underestimate it because I was like, I don't know, it's a little higher priced. It wasn't really gapping up all that much, but it ended up being okay. The problem is, again, small winners. By the time I was trading it, it was already pretty extended. My last trade on it was, where was it? I was trading at the same time as SHLL. So I was trading it right around 14, right up in this area here. And I didn't keep trading it past this drop. This was where I said, okay, it needs to pull back, and then it ended up going anyways. So these were my last trades. And again, doing little breakouts, kind of micro pullback here, 18. There was a trade around the $0.50, whole dollar, 14. So just doing quick little trades like that, and made about 1,400 on that. PDSB made about 1,100 on this one. Nice move here, double topping now against that previous high. But my trade was right around, actually, where I had a couple trades on it. I can't remember where they were, but I definitely had one on the first candle to make a new high right here. But that was a small one. So I can't remember where the other one was. But in any case, not a picture perfect ABCD pattern because of how much it pulled back. But once it started to shift directions back over 250, it gave you a nice move back to the highs. So again, those were kind of smaller trades, but I was in that mindset of, all right, I'm down 5,000. I'm not going to be able to afford to take the risk or to try to hold a trade to make $5,000 of profit in one trade. But if I have 10 trades of $500, that is achievable. That I can probably do, especially in this market. So I just dug in and started trading. Now the problem with the beginner trader doing that, there's two problems. Number one, you may not have the level of experience to depend on high accuracy to kind of pull you through. So there's another false breakout on SHLL. Right, I've been trading for a long time, so even on a day where I'm not doing really well, I can still depend pretty well on my decision-making ability to choose good entries and the right stocks and everything else. So I can still expect that my accuracy will be decent. As a total beginner trader, you don't have that faith yet that your accuracy is going to be solid. So once you start feeling off your game, that's a spot where a lot of times the right decision is just to walk away. And so I could have walked away today down 5,000, and as a beginner trader, that might have been the right thing because it's certainly better than losing another 5 and being down 10 grand. But with the level of experience that I have now, I am at times able to trade out of a red day and get myself back to the green. Well, last Monday, I wasn't able to do it. Last Monday, I finished down 10,000. I had kind of a similar morning where I actually started red, got myself back to almost green, but not quite, and then I dropped back down into the red. And I got to a point where it was about 11 a.m. and right now, so a week ago today, I was down about $10,000 at this time, and I was like, I just don't know if I'm really going to have an opportunity to get back to green because the market was really slowing down. The main stocks I've been trading like SHLL and WKHS were kind of rolling over. So I was like, I just don't think there's going to be anything else. I think my best opportunity is going to be, to come back tomorrow on Tuesday. Today, I started green, was red by 5,000 at about, let's see, what time was this? Well, it was 10:12, right? Because that was the time of that loss. So at 10:12, I was down 5,000, but I was like, this is still early enough in the day that there's definitely a chance that we'll see some momentum between 10 and 11. So let me give it a chance. And SHLL, I had the right idea, but my timing was wrong. And I think I underestimated how much this one could flash down in one candle. But again, it's a $33 stock. So in terms of position sizes and how much money I used on my trades today, on BHTG, so back to BHTG. So BHTG, it's up 85%, 79 million shares of volume. I took 30,000 shares. That was my biggest position, and that was at about 385. So let's just call it 4. So that's $120,000 position to make about $6,000. Now again, it was a couple trades, but that was the biggest position size I took. On BLNK, I think the biggest position I took was 15,000 shares, and this was at a high of 450. So again, at 4, that's $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 position. So 60,000 to make 3,000, 5% or so. WKHS, biggest position on this was 7,500. That is a little bit more expensive. So 10,000 shares would be 140,000. So 7,500 is probably like 110,000 or something like that. So bigger position on that and didn't really get paid very well for it. PDSB, I think my biggest position on this might have been 20,000 shares, but I can't remember for sure. So, but that's cheaper. So at 250 or so, that would have been $50,000 in the trade. SHLL at 7,000 or 8,000. Well, that would have been the biggest dollar position today. So 10,000 shares of it at 33 would be $330,000. So 7,500 would still be like 250. So that was a big position. And SGMA was, I can't remember what the size was on, I think 10,000 or so. So $40,000. So you can see roughly how much I was working with on my biggest positions. SHLL, you can use margin on. So I was able to use my margin on it. So I didn't have to put up that 300,000 in cash, but I used my leverage. Again, using leverage is risky. None of these were available to borrow, so no shorts on any of them, just long. And again, just as a reminder, you guys, the purpose of these, of me trading live for you in the morning and doing this recap is educational. It's so you can learn the strategy, so you can start to understand where I get in, where I get out. You can, of course, refer back to the watch list of how I was choosing these stocks, but generally, this is an educational session. So the goal is not for you to try to blindly follow me or anyone else. I don't think that's a good idea. I don't think that's a recipe for success. I want you to learn the strategy. There's been obviously a lot of headlines about how how risky day trading is and everything else, and it's true. Day trading is very risky. Most people that come into the market to day trade will lose money. It doesn't mean, though, at least in my opinion, that day trading is a bad thing, and it doesn't mean that everyone will lose money day trading, and it doesn't mean that day trading doesn't serve a purpose, because I think it does, and I think that day traders do provide liquidity to the market that allow institutional and longer investors to easily get in and out of their positions. But the fact is, day trading is it is high risk, and most people will lose money. So if you want to come into the market and be one of the people that are successful, it doesn't happen overnight, and that's not different from a lot of other careers that have a very low success rate. It takes a lot of hard work to get here. I know it, on the one hand, feels easy or maybe seems easy. Wow, you just sit on your laptop, you can sit on your couch, you can also be watching TV, you could even be drinking beer. But that's, if you're doing it like that, you're not taking it seriously. You've got to really treat it like a business. You've got to take it really seriously. And even then, it's not a guarantee that you'll succeed, but it's at least approaching it from the right perspective. So yeah, it's kind of, it's interesting to read those articles. I read an article that said only 1% of day traders are profitable, but didn't cite a source. And, I was looking at that and I was like, well, what's your source? I'd love to know what that source is. Because I've tried to find out that information, and we have studies that we've referred to that are studies in different economic journals and finance journals that reference data studies that they did of sometimes thousands of accounts, sometimes millions of accounts. And it seems kind of that there's not a very conclusive answer, because one of them was on a Taiwanese exchange, studied billions of trades, but the Taiwanese market's very different from the US market for a lot of reasons. There were a couple that studied US accounts, but they were small periods of time, like 3 months or 6 months, and small data sets. So you can only kind of draw what you can from that small data set. But until a broker like Robinhood or E-Trade or Ameritrade actually release results themselves to try to discourage people from trading, you're not going to see it. And they're not going to do that because they don't want to discourage people from trading. So at this point, I think just has to be the assumption that you're trying to learn something that's very, very difficult. And then most people will fail, generally speaking. So not to be a downer, but just to approach this from a very realistic perspective, that when you watch these videos and the recaps and the classes, it's an opportunity for you to try to learn. And the best way to practice without risking real money is to trade in a simulator. Now, if you use real money with E-Trade or Ameritrade because you have 0 commissions, but you trade with 1 or 2 shares, that's probably fine. You're talking about very small amounts of risk, but you've got to prove profitability before you scale up. So today's a day where I would say experience came through, the ability to go from green to red, to keep a level head, to stay focused, and to be able to get myself back into the green. That's very difficult. I talked during the Warrior Pro classes about one of my triggers being that if I ever go from hitting my daily goal, which is like up 5,000, to red, that can be a trigger for me to start to get really emotional and really frustrated. And I was feeling a little frustrated today, but I didn't take it out in my trading. I was like, okay, I'm feeling a little frustrated. I feel like I'm getting chopped up, but let's just keep looking for the next opportunity. And keeping that level head is something that I wasn't able to do as a beginner trader. I also didn't have the years of experience or intuition to make good decisions in those moments where it really mattered. And so I kind of had to rely on a little bit of a more, what I might call kind of archaic at this point, kind of set of rules of, if you're down this much, your account's locked and you're done. And although walking away down 1,000 or 2,000 is disappointing, it's certainly not nearly as bad as having a day where it snowballs and everything falls apart and you blow up your account, because that's what used to happen to me. So probably a choppy day for a lot of folks this morning. We didn't see the level of follow through that we saw last week, or towards the end of last week, but similar to last Monday. So perhaps just a choppy morning, and things will open up maybe later today. There'll be some opportunities, or going into Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And again, remember, this is a short week. The market closed on Friday for 4th of July. So celebrating it on the 3rd instead of the 4th, since the holiday's on the 4th. So we have a little bit of a short week here. Tomorrow is the last day of June. I can't believe it. I didn't even realize that. You could have told me today was the last day, and I would have been equally shocked, but I just haven't been looking at the calendar. So tomorrow is the last day of June, and then we're going to wrap up what has been a phenomenal month with only one red day for me. But today was close, and I was red, and I had to make that decision. Am I going to just shut it down, or am I going to keep trading? So I kept trading and found the profit. So tomorrow we'll finish up the month of June, and then we'll go into July, hopefully with some nice momentum. All right, you guys. So I hope you all had a decent day, and I want to welcome Joseph as a newest member of the 100K Club. Congratulations, Joseph. He got his 100K Club badge last week on, I think it was Thursday or Friday. So congratulations to you. That's awesome. And I am hoping to see a couple more 100K Club badges here once your June statements are in the books. So I've seen a couple of you, Daniel. Hey, there's Joseph. Daniel and a few others who have been throwing down some really big green days. So I'm looking forward to seeing some more of those 100K Club badges. And again, as you guys get that badge, if you'd like to do write a short blog kind of post for us of your journey, we'd love to feature it on the website, where we do have a few success stories. So again, those are voluntary, and we don't track the success of all of our students at large. There's not really a mechanism to do that, but we do want to reward those who have achieved some success. And so if you'd like to have yourself featured over here along with Ned and Jess and John, Roberto, we'd love to have that success story. So anyways, that's about it for me. I'm gonna take off here, and I'll see you guys first thing tomorrow morning.
Oh hey, I didn't see you there. Help us hit 750,000 subscribers by hitting that subscribe button, and stay tuned and check out some of my other awesome uploads right here on YouTube.